Hey everyone, before I get started, I just want to remind you that if you like my content, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and then join the Militiaman and Crew Patreon community by clicking the link in the caption. Good evening everybody, happy Friday. It's a fabulous one. I think it's true. I think everybody should be excited the fact that all the progress that we've seen with Iraq has been amazing. And why is it amazing? Is because the fact is that over the last 2 years, we can see that they are just going one thing after another is getting done. It seems like it's painstakingly, and of course it sounds like it's like the same old story, but in truth, it's not even close to that. Why would the United States of America allow Al-Awlaq, central bank governor, to come into the United States of America unannounced? Probably because they had a good reason to allow that. And so why are they having him back in such a short period of time is because there's a component of time that they need things done, and they're doing that. And that article on the August 4th telling you specifically about that they're going to take a full floor of the central bank of Iraq. I don't care if it's the older bank or the newer bank, but if the United States Treasury, and you can see that they're not going away. You can see that with Soleil's writings. You can see that happening in the news. It's not something that Militiaman and Crew are talking about. I mean, or just bringing it in. It's reality. We have that information in patreon.com/mm and crew, and in our Discord chat room at Militiaman's chat room. That's how you'll find it. You can find all that data. So if you want some really true value, you can get the news early, because we got different time zones, folks. The reason why this place is such a wonderful community in our Patreon room is because of the fact that we have quality news hound, Samson, world renowned, right? Think about it. She does this regularly, and she has a flair for the being able to remember which places are credible and accurate as best as possible, and as relevant to us as we can get. Believe it or not, there's more information on many other topics, Dinar related, Iraq related, that are fed into us. I come over and try to do what I can do to make it so that in our Patreon room is where some of the study is probably more focused specifically on her news that I feel that is where I want everybody to try to kind of focus in on specifically. That is maybe just a little bit more relevant, but all of it's important. Every bit of it that she brings in is important. So keep that in mind. And always remember too that in this Patreon room and our Discord chat room is that we have people behind the scenes. We have Peter, we have our crew, we have Petra, we have Gigi, we have Greg, we have all these different people, okay? We still have Sunkist, bless her heart, whenever she is available. And always remember one thing, is like, we all have lives, and we all try to give the best that we can when we can. Not always can we give the utmost, but that's what we do, and in the best of it. But the sure thing is, for $9.99, you get news every day, every single day, pretty much every single day. I don't know if we've missed any yet, but I don't think we will either. But anyway, so just enjoy that, but know that we do that for what? A purpose, and the purpose is to help you. And the cool part is that you guys help us. It's kind of a mutual thing. Scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And this is really cool because I think that the United States government is working with Al-Awlaq, and I think Al-Sudani, and so they're probably having somewhat of a relationship just like that. Hey, you guys said you were going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to scratch your back, blah, blah, blah. And anyway, the ultimate goal is that the United States isn't leaving Iraq. We have interest in there, and you know that I'm going to get to it shortly, because of the companies that have arrived. The conclusion that they use, they say that they have deals done for the oil and gas in the north. We know that the Development Road Project, you saw that huge tunnel. You guys saw that in the news, I'm sure you did. You had to have. If you missed it, you can get it in our room, okay? But the fact is that the Development Road Project is going forward, whether you like it or not. Iraq is going to go international. They just haven't yet. They're not on the Forex yet. But are they going to be there? I think they're going to be there. I think they're really going to be there, and they're going to be quite soon. So anyway, enough of that. It says here that U.S. government decides to tackle Iraq's energy crisis in the exchange for Iran's economically stifling. Okay, translation is not very good, but put it this way: Forbes Economic Network. Okay, so Forbes is talking about this. Why would Forbes be talking about the United States of America and Iraq? Right? It says there is an agreement between Sudanese Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani and the President of the United States during his visit to Washington, D.C., and the U.S. companies will significantly introduce the energy sector to limit Iranian economic expansion in Iraq. I'm not going to get political. I'm not taking sides with anybody. I'm just feeding you guys. This is what they're telling us, okay? So keep that in mind. It says that agreement includes the introduction of the KBR Terras Atlantic Petroleum Company, Honeywell Company, Baker Hughes, Emerson, Arc Energy. All of these are in the Iraqi market, the Iraqi energy market. So why would those big names be moving into a place that doesn't have security and stability, doesn't have a internationally acceptable exchange? You go, what? How's that work? It usually doesn't. And so why is the WTO knocking on the door accelerating? Why is the World Customs Organization on record having communication between Iraq and Iran? Why did they do that? What is that AFT? Did you guys ever look that up? Did you ever really go into and look up what that means? They're going to help facilitate trade. World Customs Organization has an agreement with the WTO. They did that with Iraq. They did that with Iran in those meetings. Okay? So you got to think outside the box and go, wait, it's not blah, blah, blah. You haven't heard this before. I don't care if you've been in this for 20 years. It's silly to even comment like that. But hey, I get it. It's frustrating. It's taking time. I know that. People are hurting out there. We all know that. It's tough. The economies around the world are actually pretty much, everybody's probably pretty tough. Okay. So look, timing. What is that? Well, timing is usually a very important situation. It's like you got to get it right. And in this case with Iraq, do you think they're really going to try to do all this at a time where it's just not going to work? It's going to be an utter nonsense failure? I don't think so. I think they've actually massaged this methodically, gone through it. Maybe overload to say, but the truth is that there was a necessary need to do things. Look, corruption is a big deal. It has been a big deal. I'm not going to deny it. But the truth is, there comes a time where the legal aspect will come into play. And I think you guys know that if you do your research, and some other people out there, they brought up some specifics about the Gazette, where they publish information. And if you go to that information, you're going to look and see that there's some things that are missing. And when you see that those things are missing, you have to ask the questions, why are they missing? Maybe you guys could call the judiciary and ask them, hey, why is this missing? What's the next thing missing? But yet you keep subsequently adding on more stuff, but you're still missing a couple items. Why are you doing that? They might give you some answers. I highly doubt they're going to tell you, though. They're probably going to tell you in a manner that is important and when the time's right. And they're probably going to do that because the fact is that they have legal time limits constitutionally, and most often they pretty much stick to the Constitution, pretty much stick to it. Not unlike other countries of the world. Leave it at that. Okay, so to keep that, timing is a very important factor. They're literally saying that timing is a very important factor. And timing of this agreement is the most important. So this agreement with the U.S. government to tackle Iraq's energy crisis with the exchange of Iraq and Iran, between the two, is very important. The timing is very important. And the agreement is very important. I don't know why I keep saying the same a couple times, but fact is, you guys, it is. The timing right now is critical. It's fascinating. I don't know to say that it's critical in the sense it's like it's a boom or bust. It's probably more boom, but is the timing critical in a global sense? Probably so. Anyway, so this is the first time that the American companies of this size, of those that I've mentioned, have been introduced into the country, which has not been previously experimented. So those companies that I mentioned, KBR, Terras Atlantic Petroleum, Honeywell, et cetera, Baker Hughes, Emerson, Arc Energy. Okay, think about that. They're some of the biggest companies and facilitators of helping with oil and gas in our country, or and in some cases maybe the world. That's how big these companies are. Okay. So ultimately, what is their goal? Basically, is to this whole situation is completely new and aims to fully address Iraq's electrical power, the crisis that's going on. They need 24/7 power. The Development Road project is going to need 24/7 power. And they've been working on this for years. It's not just brand new. What they're trying to do is get out from under the thumb of having to spend money to the tune of $5 billion a year or more to Iran. That's it. And so they're probably going to be successful in this. What is it? The former Secretary of Defense, Secretary Robert Wilkie, explains to the network the reasons for the United States' conclusion of the deal. Conclusion. Got that? Conclusion. That's past tense. Which he described as extraordinary. With the Sudanese government and its companies' introduction of this amount of those, what he's saying is that the introduction of these companies in this amount is phenomenal. It's extraordinary, he says. It says the U.S. government believes that the economic stifling of Iran and depriving it of the billions that it obtains through the Iraq oil and gas has now become a necessity to secure the Middle East region in American interests, referring to the recent security events in the region. So they're going back in time a little bit, because what would we have? We had the Assad base getting bombed again, right? So they're challenging. And so if business is going to come in, the security and stability needs to be stable. And al-Sudani's job is to protect the coalition forces, if that's his job. So Iraq needs to step up to the plate and do what they're supposed to do, and they do it right. And they're being trained to do it right, and they have our interests. They should, and they should do it well. Because why? Because all this money that the country has been spending, okay, by using their oil money to fund these things, you're going to find that they haven't produced the tripartite budget yet, have they? They haven't done that investment side of it. They haven't. You need to see that. We all need to see that. The world wants to see it. So they're going to make some changes, be sure. And they have some, again, I'm going to say, I believe, a legal opportunity to fix it. And that legal opportunity is probably timed accordingly, because that's just the nature of what they do. So let's see what happens. The United States was able to provide cheap fuel to its allies if sanctions were imposed on an oil state such as Iran. Iraq is now in a pivotal strategy which aims to cut off funding to the Iranian regime. So I highlighted that is because that's basically what they're trying to do, in effect, is that, look, the United States is going to say, like, we're ready to go. We're not playing games anymore. You guys want to play games? Fine. But we're going to do it our way. And Iraq, yep, either you're on board or you're not on board. What do you think about those dollar auctions, right? That parallel market. No wonder these guys are barking like no others, because the parallel market's going to go away, and like fast. Once they do, all they have to do is do what? They know what they need to do: change the value of their currency, and no one's going to want their USD. They're going to know that the Iraqi dinar is going to be powerful, just like al-Sudani has said. You think he's going to be made out to be a liar? I doubt it. Hey, look, I'm not going to beat the dead horse with Iran and America, but because everybody has their opinions on all that stuff. But bottom line is, here's another one that says, quote, to exclude Iran, an American bet on the open energy doors in Iraq. So basically what I just went over is again going to reiterate, and this is a long read. I don't know if I'm going to get into the whole thing, but it's political. Not me. I'm not being political, but this article is definitely political. Okay? But the bottom line is, what are they talking about? It says the presence of Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani, okay, who they describe as being pro-business, is they're talking about it. What they're doing is in order to achieve Iraq's independence from Iran regarding their energy fields and in their energy out towards 2030. So Iraq is on their own move. They're doing what they think, but they do invoke all the companies that I had mentioned: KBR, Transatlantic Petroleum, Honeywell, UOP, Baker Hughes, Emerson, Arc Energy, GE, General Electric. All of these companies are working with a company called RACEP, R-A-S-E-P, S-E-P, in the field of infrastructure and energy development in order to do what? Develop what we could call what? The largest oil and gas field in the world. Really? You're going to do all of this at 1310? Come on, man. Specifically in the Bin Omar River in the southern Iraq. So what are they calling it? I'm pretty sure they're going to call this the Giant. And who's there? Those companies. So do you really think that Iraq is going to tell the United States of America to pack it up and leave in a manner that doesn't allow for protection of our assets? Think again. Remember what Saleh had said in the past? He said, be careful on what you read in the news. Pay attention to what they do and what they say behind the scenes. Okay? It's true. This is evidence of that. It may not seem like it, but be careful, because why? There's reasons. They have to have a little bit of cover, because there are some nefarious in the world that just don't want what Iraq's doing to do what Iraq's doing, even with the United States. It just doesn't look good, I guess. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's not me, okay? But I have to say that according to this gentleman, it says Iraq's ministers are working in a way that shows the government's working with the private sector. Look, everybody and their brother wants to come in. China wants to come through. They want to finish their Silk Road, which turns into the Development Road project, which gets into Europe, okay? Because trade is going to Europe, okay? Oil and gas. Think about it for a minute. Do you really believe that if other countries, now I'm not going to get into that too deeply, China, Russia, all these different entities, right? Iran, right? If Iraq has oil and they have gas and they can ship it, so they're not reliant on Russia to turn them off in the winter, right? Means a big deal. And so then if the trade, maritime trade, cuts off 25 days to ship product around the world because they got these knuckleheads down there and on Africa, right? Down off of Somalia, I think it is, right? That are causing problems in the disruption of the ships. They've got pirates, and they do. They're real-time pirates, right? So anyway, think about it. 25 days. Do you have any idea how much it costs per day to run a huge tanker, and all those tankers with cargo? Pretty sure it's like in the millions per day, possibly 20 million or more a day to get those ships moved. It's amazing. It just what you stand back. Sorry, you guys, because it's just like it's phenomenal. But ultimately, think about it. The U.S. report says that the ultimate goal, speaking of that, is to produce natural gas, build electrical infrastructure. Iraq needs it 24/7. Think about all the tourism that's coming, all the buildings that are be happening, all the industrial sittings that are going to happen. See what I'm getting at? What it's going to do is going to provide surplus energy to its allies and stop relying on Iran for energy. So basically, they're telling us a story in the sense of that they're jumping from being an energy somewhat dependent to independent, and that is big. It says that they talk about a certain administration that had strategic calculations from the past of how to establish a special ring of deterrence around this country. And the Abraham Accords were central in this strategy. So we'll see if they stick to what they're talking about. So Iraq effectively is working with the Saudis, and they were doing that after the last administration, which brought the Saudis closer to the anti-Iran ring that included, believe it or not, Israel with the U.S. for support, quoting us saying, adding that anything the Saudis could do to challenge Iranian influence would make sense from a strategic and a military perspective. So that's his point of view, okay? They point out that the last administration, if they do win in the elections, okay, the last one comes back, it will be a renewed push to fully include the Saudis in an alliance. So those are some of the things that are fascinating. I think whether they turn out that way or not is to be determined. Of course, the main point, the country has a lack of electricity, especially during the summer months, and they're going to fix that. So look, let's just see what they do and how they act. But look, the RACEP company, RASEP, you guys Google that and look it up, has become the first Iraqi company to lead a gas development project in the country. So Iraq is stepping up the pace with the company. It says the U.S. government supports all these initiatives, enhancing Iraq's energy independence, of course, and why not, right? So the report quotes, though, that we have open doors to invest in energy projects. So all you big businesses, Iraq has open doors. We're at the first Iraqi company to undertake a gas development project. So this is Al-Moshan, who he is, I guess, a representative to that company, RACEP. So take that to heart, because the bottom line is, what I just gave you is a little bit deeper view than I just gave you before, but the cool part is it's in reference to Iraq's energy independence and the fact that they just need to save $5 billion and move forward and get the trade moving. And Iran's probably, even though they lose $5 billion, they're probably going to make more with such an efficient route of all that trade coming to bring goods and services from all over the world. And from the east to the west, if you will, why not? It's going to be good. Iraq is heading towards printing new paper currency, is this next article. Why in the world would Iraq be heading to be trading or printing new paper currency? Well, they're not going to print new currency in the sense of 000 notes. Now, why would they do that? I'm not kidding you guys. They were showing in 2018, or, well, post 2018 to present, during that time. So look, there's no intention to print new money, new paper currency. There's just no reason for it. They literally were destroying perfectly good 000 notes. They did a video on it. I don't necessarily have it. I know that it's out there. I'm serious. I'm not the only one. I wouldn't even say it if I didn't believe it was 100% true. And if I didn't believe 100%, other people watched it too. They literally were destroying money, making little pellets, and they had a whole show on it, okay? So why would they be just destroying good money? Now, granted, if they filmed that they were damaged and ink on them and all these different things, I understand that. That wasn't the case, okay? But then all of a sudden, back in 2018, and I showed proof of this and the evidence of it that came from the central bank themselves about cash issuances, how much it cost. 2018 is when you want to go back and look. You guys do that. I've done it. I've got the paper. I can take screenshots of it. But the bottom line is, rest in peace, day trader. But thank you very much, because he provided me the actual sheets, okay, to prove that that's what they were doing. They spent tens of millions of dollars on printing new currency, and it couldn't have been. And our good friend Delta from the past concurred to that. But that's okay. Look, the bottom line is that why would they be printing 000 notes at a time where inflation is low? What that would create inflation. The whole idea is to not do that. And that's what they've focused in on. What they would do is like to do even more so is maybe take what little inflation that they have, even get that reduced. Okay. So anyway, it says there's no intention to print new paper currency at the central bank, noting that the Ministry of Finance began funding ministries and governments with salaries 2 days ago. So it sounds like yesterday they were getting busy. It says right here, it says providing necessary liquidity is done by the central bank, of course, and delivered to the Ministry of Finance, which in turn delivers these numbers and the cash mass to the ministries and governments. And at this time, right, there is no acute problem regarding cash liquidity. So there's no need to print new currency. So those of us that missed the video that I did on this, they've yet to do anything different, and they spent about $50 million, $50 million in printing currency, and it wasn't 000 notes. There's no reason for it. You can't be spending $50 million while you're burning up money to print new ones, especially if they were perfectly good. All right. The Prime Minister discussed that the Saudi Foreign Minister had a talk about activation of the joint coordination, if you will, council between the two countries. So why is this kind of important? Well, Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Thani is basically talking yesterday about affairs with the United Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, or the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And it says the meeting discussed bilateral relations between Iraq and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and prospects for developing and growing them in all fields, especially the political and the economic. If Saudi Arabia is interested in their politics and if they're interested in their economics, they're going to be vested in strengthening something. And what are they talking about? Exactly that. Strengthening the fruitful partnerships. Fruitful means it's, we got something to eat, you guys, let's go. We got the goods. Activating the Iraqi-Saudi Coordination Council in a way that achieves mutual benefit for both countries, common interests for both countries, and what? Of course, they mention themselves, the two brotherly countries. So they're together, they're good. It's awesome. So they're in the activation mode of their political and economic partnerships. Isn't that great? Because what country was the country that was helping Iraq get all the requirements? Because they said in July, I believe it is, that Iraq has completed all the requirements. I don't care what they just said the other day, but we have it on record that shows that sometime in the past, they already have done that. They even said specifically that the WTO requirements, that in that regard, that Saudi Arabia did 15 years worth of work in a year for Iraq to what? Get a cession. The last articles, what we talked about, they were in the acceleration mode. And they did the last video, instead of doing it in Geneva in real time together, they did it in effectively, I'll call it a Zoom, for instance. Could have been different, but they said virtual. I'm just assuming it was Zoom. Could be something else. But fact remains is they did it differently, okay? It was awesome because it was less formal. Because why? It wasn't necessary. It probably wasn't needed. Because why? That's how far along they are. Be careful on thinking that everything's going out next year. What supports that? Show it to me. That'd be great. Send it to me at patreon.com/MMNcrew.com, right? Send that into me and we'll see if we can go over it and then we can chat about it. I don't think they have any delay. I think they're definitely along for the ride. They want this, and then what are they waiting for? They're going to have to value all those products. Each and every one of those barcodes is going to need a value. Are they going to do all those barcodes at 1310? If so, why didn't they do that years ago? Because that's not what they're going to do. All right, sedition is the name of this one. It's like sedition. I go, what the heck's that? It says the auctions against Sudanese government balanced and people will tackle pressures. I don't know, you guys. They really suck. Forgive me, but they suck when it comes to doing some of these headlines. Well, translations don't do very well. All right, so Iraq has transformed during this period into an attractive environment. Of course they have. For what? Investment. And at all levels of energy, housing, infrastructure, strategic projects. You see what I mean? With what? How long is it going to last? For a long time. It says they've tried to provoke the crisis in Syria, Samoa, Diwania, but there's people who were trying to do that, provoke them, but the government's professional, parental response prevented the ability to do what was planned, and treatments were carried out with an intensity, and I think that's fascinating. So al-Sudani has passed muster, if you will. He has, and I think the world knows that. The man has been off the charts. The citizens love him, they like him, and he's been doing a bang-up job. This wasn't Kadhimi, this wasn't Abadi, this wasn't Mustafa, Mahdi, whatever, forgive me. Anyway, bottom line, and think about this for a second. When was the last time you guys heard Sadr complaining? Al Sadr, right? The guy that can get the Million-Man March in a second. He's not been out vocal. Why? Because he knows there's progress. He knows that the people are going to get their purchasing power. I don't know. I'm not there today. Could they have it right this moment? I don't know. They could. They are capable of blocking us out of things. It's possible. They may have done that today. Maybe not. I don't know. But the cool part is that what they're telling us, literally, to the world is what we can get and glean from this. And the Prime Minister's advisors, I believe that really they do have some credibility. I think Saleh, I think al-Nusri, and a couple others, they truly do give their utmost to support Iraq and their people. And that's probably why they're so successful and why they've been around for so long. So keep that in mind. Use that as a tool and a barometer, if you will, to pay attention to how this is transpiring. Because, again, I don't just make it up. I'm giving you my feelings of what it is that these guys are talking to us. But Al-Awlaq's upcoming visit to New York supports banking system stability. And people ask me, why isn't he going to Washington? I'm like, well, that's not what it said. It said it was going to go to New York. That's what they say. So what's in New York, you guys? What is in New York? New York is part of the banking system. The United States Federal Reserve Bank is in New York. Where is the account for Iraq's oil money? Is it not New York? It's not in Washington, D.C. It's not at the White House. It's definitely in New York, isn't it? Sure, it is. And there's a good reason for that. And there's going to be a lot of good reasons that are probably going to be exposed in a very short period of time. It says that the Governor's Central Bank of Iraq will support the protection of stability of the banking system. So he's going to support the protection of the banking and the stability of the banking system. He's indicating the file of the sanctioned banks requires negotiation. But let's get back to this part. Will support protection and stability of the banking system. So basically, Al-Awlaq's going to come in and try to support some banks that probably had some bad actors that were probably doing some really bad things, that were probably supporting some pretty bad things, guys. I mean, literally. Okay, so is it a mistake? Was it an exaggeration? Or is it something that, hold on a minute, that reputational risk that I talked about? Reputational risk, I've learned over the years, that first billionaire I ever met told me about reputational risk, and I learned a lot from that. And I understand where the banking side of things are. And al-Abadi, one of the prime ministers, he was very smart during the Paris Club. I don't know if you guys... you new folks, if you haven't done your research and don't know anything about what the Paris Club is like, man, you got some work if you want to go back that far. But the truth is al-Abadi was a definite component of the talks that went on and saved Iraq from going to full-blown Chapter 7. Because if they went full-blown Chapter 7, I wouldn't be in this investment. I just wouldn't. Because that reputational risk. You're just not going to go anywhere. You got to pay your debts. You got to negotiate them. You got to deal with it. You got to deal with the hard stuff, just like we do here every day. Just like each and every single person. All of you that are hurting. Some of you guys are in cars. God bless you. I'm sorry. But here we are. We're doing the best that we can. And that's what the country of Iraq did the best they can. And guess what? They paid off Kuwait. They've been paying their debts. They're actually making headway. They're doing what they said they were going to do. It's taken a long time. I know. I get it. But stay focused, everybody. Do the best that you can. Okay? All right, good. It says basically here that due to the rentier nature of the economy, rentier means oil, CBI and its reserves have become a feeder and financer of foreign trade for the private sector. That's not a bad thing. They're making nothing but money off their oil, but they're also making nothing but money off their non-oil revenue streams now. It's a totally different ballgame. You guys got to remember, back in the old days, Iraq's valuation of 322 was based off oil. It wasn't on phosphates, it wasn't on sulfur, it wasn't on liquid natural gas, and it wasn't on the tax revenues, and it wasn't on tourism. None of those. Add all that in now, into that exchange rate. Woo-hoo. Gives some support, doesn't it? Yeah, you start thinking about it. Wait a second, so why would you come back out at 322 again? Good question. Will they? Don't know. Is it likely they will? I don't know. Why would it be any less than that? Give me an argument for that, and then come into patreon.com. I gave you guys the address and place to do that. Come on in and give us an argument that says, well, this is why. And then, again, I'll tell you this right now. If you guys have the LOP question, okay, it's totally uneducated as far as I'm concerned, 100%. I don't need to address it anymore. I've done it too many times. So thank you anyway, though. And I understand it's tough because you get so many people out there keep saying the same irrational stuff. Iraq said they were going to bring value to their currency. Doing a lot doesn't bring value, you guys. It's a reverse split. It stays the same. It's just total BS. It's utter nonsense. And it's unstudied, uneducated, and frankly, kind of quackery as far as I'm concerned. Okay? So sorry about that, but that's the way I feel. All right? So anyway, you guys, I think Iraq is basically going to try to probably work something out with these banks, reputational risk, if they can. What's going to change their tune to get a response that might help that reputational risk is probably play by the rules, get on board, transparency, and get ready to do business and know that there's consequences if you don't play by the rules. Nothing wrong playing by the rules, everybody. I suggest you do that. It's like this. If you guys make a whole bunch of money and you have taxes, pay them. I'm looking forward to paying my taxes, okay? I'm looking forward to them because effectively, in the United States of America, it's a right for us. I looked forward to catching up. I don't know how many of you folks out there that got hit by 2008. I'm telling you that I know that I did, and I want to have hey, you guys, utmost respect. All of you that have gone through it and managed to get to where we are today, I was part of that, and I hope that you guys do well. But again, be cautious, get professional advice, and when we move forward, that goes for everything. I don't care if it's finance, if it's banking, if it's real estate, it's accounting, financial management, all of those things. Get professional advice. Militiamen and crew aren't about that. We never have been, never put that out like that, okay? Just make sure that you get some sound advice. One thing that we try to do, though, is give enough information, quality information like this, and I'm going to show tonight, tomorrow, the next day, we're gonna have another little bit of a channel so we can get educated because there's new technologies in the world. Some of those new technologies are probably going to be really important for people. We can see this all the time. It's in the news. It's on mainstream media. XRP, for instance. It is going to be something that's going to be a utility that they're going to use, right? So hold on, find out what that's about. And you can come in and get some news. You might not get bombarded with any speech from me. I might not do anything about it. All I might do is just learn alongside you. That's what we're bringing. Okay, so if I can learn, you learn at the same time, maybe I can learn from you. I love it. It'd be great. Hopefully this has been a good night. It's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. And please do me a favor. Smash that like button. Subscribe. Bring your friends. Right? Everybody's welcome, of course. And then again, thank you guys for your donations. It's really important because the fact is, There's so much of us that work, and some of us really truly need to get a few dollars in because why? We have to live just like you. We all do pay our bills just like everybody else in the world. So thank you so much, and we 100% appreciate it. And if you can't, totally understandable, 100%. I still do my videos. Okay, I'm not going away. I'll do the best I can. I might not do them as often, but I'm not going away. Thank you so much. Greatly appreciated. Once again, guys, don't forget to hit that like button if you like this content. Subscribe to the channel or join us at the Militia Man and Crew Patreon community for even more exclusive content. You can also donate to this channel by hitting the links in the banner to help keep this page up and running. Your generous support is greatly appreciated as always. Much appreciated. Thank you so much and have a great day.